Hey guys, another project at the old Japanese farmhouse. As we move from the front of the house around the corner here, some of you might remember that there's one part where the car's parked there that has a tiled roof. That's all very nice, but there's this pergola thing over here that had deteriorated quite dramatically. As you can see, there was an old wooden door there that had started to fall apart. Someone had left some wood piled up against it, so the white ants had got into it just to make it worse. The rust had got so bad there's holes in the walls and holes in the roof, so it needed a bit of attention. Sort of a high profile spot this. As soon as you approach the house you can see this area, so it's a bit of a shame, and the water was getting in on that wood and it was making it worse, which meant it was only going to deteriorate more, so we needed to do something to it just to arrest the deterioration. How bad's that up there? Old corrugated iron, really rusty on the ends. It'll get that if you don't paint it for 30-40 years, which I'd be guessing is at least how long it's been since this has been painted. But anyway, and then down the side here, this is all that wall that we just had a look at from the other side. Yes. There's a skylight in that part there. That's very nice. Tragic, isn't it? Yep, there's the old wooden door. Now, on the other side of this wooden door, that black wall there actually adjoins the other part of the building that's actually a bit more substantial. It's got a tiled roof and it's got a clay wall inside, the old style wall, and it's got that workshop that's got the well in it. And this isn't in bad condition, it just needs a paint. Hasn't been painted for a very long time. There's the back of the well. As you know, the well's in that little workshop, at the back of that little workshop, and it actually protrudes outside the building. So it would seem the well was there first and then the building was built over the top of it, which is sort of interesting, isn't it? So yes, the top of the roof, I don't know what colour it was originally, but it's now rust red. And there's that wall that's on the main, that's the main house that's got that wall there, and the small wall that you can see that goes onto the tiled roof of that other building. But yeah, this rusty roof leant against it and went right through it. It couldn't take any weight at all. It had it. It was finished basically. So sort of knew this was going to be a bit of a project, but not until started to get up on the roof there and have a good look at it did we realize exactly how big it really was. So figured it was a good opportunity to paint that wall there. That unskilled labourer he's illiterate. Look, we got TLC there. I'm sure he meant TJC, but anyway. So yeah, this is an opportunity to get to that wall, because once we've replaced that roof we don't want to be standing on it again, particularly not if we weigh 97 kilos like that unskilled labourer does. But then we find out that the big job that we thought was a big job turns out to be bigger, because the roof goes up to the flashing at the bottom of that wall, and then that flashing feeds up behind that wall, which means to lift the roof you first have to lift the flashing, and to lift the flashing you have to actually disconnect it from that wall, which means taking the nails out of that wall as well. So that really started to get out of hand, that aspect of the job. That's huge, as you can see. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. So it began, and it was really tricky because that tin has had it, the corrugated iron has had it, and the wood that it's sitting on is fairly small, as you can see. So the main bearers are fairly solid, but the rest of it's fairly small. Oh, here's the other small wall. This got out of hand as well. The roof ran up inside this wall, this small wall, and inside it was the old style mud and bamboo, which is all good. It's actually in good condition, but the actual tin there, the corrugated iron there, had it, so that had to be replaced as well. The plan was just to paint that, but of course then we find out that the roof ran up inside there, so we had to lift it, and then we lift it, we find it's no good, so had to replace that wall too. It started to really get out of hand, this job. It really did. It went on for a few weeks. It was huge, a lot of hours, no idea how many total hours, but it was huge. So yeah, remove that wall. The idea was paint it with the spray gun in about 20 minutes, but it ended up remove it and replace it, which was really tricky. Because if you look at the shape of that tin there, see, it slopes, the bottom of that wall slopes up with the roof, doesn't it, with the metal roof. But if you look at the top of that wall, it slopes up at the angle of the tiled roof, so it's a different angle. So each of those pieces of tin was what, a rhombus? Is it a rhombus? An unusual shape. And then at the top was those beams that had to go around as well. So cutting the pieces to go up there and make them all fit, and make them all fit in with the roof, and then the flashing, and it just got out of hand. just doing that wall there and the first sheet, and then it started snowing. Wouldn't you know it, the day that we lifted the roof off, started to lift the roof off, it started to snow. That's the way it works. And because you don't want snow on your mud wall, you don't want snow or rain on your mud wall, because of course snow and rain does bad things to mud walls, as you can imagine. So it was a bad piece of timing, that. But anyway, so yeah, lots of time was spent cutting funny shaped pieces of tin and going up there and climbing up in amongst that wood to see if it fits, and then coming back and trimming it and trying again, and it went on that job. It was just crazy. Just doing that one little wall and that one first piece of corrugated iron took many hours. It was just huge, absolutely ridiculous. And then making flashing and all sorts of stuff, very tricky. At the right hand side of that wall, it actually meets up with the main house wall and also another small roof. So there's like 3 roofs come together in that corner on the right hand side. So it was a screaming nightmare. And see how the roof actually folds up inside behind, so I had to put new wood in there to support it because the old wood was no good, and then cut all these funny shaped pieces of tin and fit them around so that they fitted around all the funny shapes. It was just huge. Tricky, very tricky. Horrible material, corrugated iron. It's a horrible material to work with, it really is, but anyway. Worked till the sun went down. Unskilled labourer did. Every day. Left that funny piece of video in because it's sort of an interesting effect, isn't it? Sort of arty. So finally got all that done. That's fabulous. And then we don't really want to walk on that roof once it's finished, so we were trying to paint those walls, and then we were painting the roof as we put it on. And we didn't want to remove the whole roof in one piece because last time we removed a piece of roof it snowed, didn't it? So the idea was to sort of slowly replace it, pull pieces off in one direction and slowly come along behind and replace it with new bits. So that's how we started this, because it did go on for a long time. It was days and days and days of this. Very tricky. And of course those nails were actually fairly substantial. They were still pretty well in there, but the roof had it, so it made lifting the nails sort of interesting too. A crowbar and a big hammer was involved. So sort of painting it as we went along. We wanted to paint all the overlap bits, so before we overlapped bits, we wanted to paint the bits first, so the hidden bits were painted, and then after we actually nailed them into place, we were painting them as we went. Just seemed to be the best solution. The only other way to do it was to paint everything on the ground and then put it up there, and then have to get up there when it's all finished and walk along it and spray it again, so I didn't really want to do that. So, and then as we were moving along, it all connected up with the wall too, so that wall had to come out. And again, the nails, he'd done a pretty good job of the nailing, and those nails were really in there, and but the heads were rusted, so the heads were breaking off, and that just left the nail, which had to be removed. So that was a really huge job too, because anybody that's worked with corrugated iron knows that you put a nail in about every 4 inches. So, more close than that really. It's what was it? No, 10 centimeters. So yeah, it's about 4 inches. So it was just a nightmare, hundreds and hundreds of nails that had all the heads had broken off. So I had to pull them out with big set of multi grips. Some jobs go surprisingly well, and you can be surprised at how well they go. Some jobs are just a nightmare. This one was a nightmare. Even getting up in those spaces there, if you have a look at that unskilled labour is a pretty big lad, and those gaps are pretty tight. So working up there and getting up and down hundreds of times a day in those little gaps was a real pain. Lots of splinters, and that can that just got taken away there was a can full of nails. So lots of nails that were taken off the top, hundreds and hundreds of nails all went into a can and were thrown away. Actually, they went in a big pile of metal that's going to be taken to the metal recyclers. So yeah, it's a horrible job, this one really was. So yeah, finally got rid of all the rust. It was like the Battle of the Rust, it was. War of the Rust. Finally got rid of the last of the rusty tin. Got to lay a few more sheets down. And then where that old door was, had to make some framing where that old door was, so that we could make a wall there, because that old door didn't go to anywhere. It was strange. There might have been, before that brick wall went up, there might have been, it might have gone off to the paddock or something like that, but now it doesn't go anywhere. So just continue the wall, and then that's just an air gun there, just blowing air to get rid of the dusty bits and the bits of rust and the crap that's left over from the old roof. Just blow it all out, and then that's helping us find lots of other nails that we missed as well. Need to be pulled out. Huge. So that sort of cleaned it all up with the air gun, and then we've got the spray gun out now, we're painting. So decided that frame had to be painted, because we then had a combination of old wood and new wood, because we replaced some of the wood, and the rest of the house has sort of got a brown and white colour scheme, so I used the same brown, did the frame. The frame will be protected by the wall, but this is more for aesthetics, because you know, you can sort of see this is still pretty exposed. It's part of the house, so sort of good to make it reasonably nice. This bit down here is exposed, but the bit up the top nobody can see up there except the neighbours when they're on their second floor, so we don't really care about up the top. The reason for painting up the top was purely to keep the rust from coming back, because we don't want to do that job again very soon. so then plastic sheeting for the wall. So this was an experiment to find out if we could cut 15 sheets of plastic sheeting with a power saw, and it turns out you can. Interestingly, Again, this was tricky. This really needed 3 hands, guys. If you're ever going to put up sheeting like this, get a third hand involved, because trying to hold it where you want it and hammering a nail with only 2 hands is a bit tricky. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, this day was really windy. It was about 4 degrees and really windy, which made it really fun. So yeah, just some clear sheeting up here. The plan was originally different, but then after some more thinking, that wall there, if we can let more light in there, the rooms that adjoin it will be brighter. So we decided to go with all the plastic. And then this metal wall that's at the back of the shed just needed some painting. It's a bit rough, there's a bit of rust in it, but it's not too bad. So up to a before and after already, guys. So this was the before. Literally poked holes in that roof with a finger when sort of checking it out originally. Gave it a bit of a push with a finger and went right through it. Built the house right up to the boundary, which was good. It means that the property, or the open spaces are bigger, because the buildings are all built to the boundary. Makes it tricky to work on these buildings, but it was a good idea. So that's all the before. Let's have a look at the after. That's a bit better, isn't it? So lots of overspray on that wall. We painted the wall brown and then sprayed the roof, and purposefully let it overspray, because nobody, as I said before, nobody's going to see up there except the neighbours when they're on their second floor. Nobody else sees it, and the most important thing was to fight the rust. So we let it overspray there to make sure that it got a really good coating of that special paint. And all that up there got painted brown, so that looks better than it was. And it's all bright and breezy there, letting the light in, so that the adjoining rooms, there's a bathroom and a toilet and a bedroom and a kitchen, are brighter than they were before, because they have the clear plastic sheeting on them. So that's a bit of an improvement, isn't it? And then on the outside, looks a bit better too. Just went with silver on this wall up here, just because we happen to have a whole heap of silver left over from the roof, and because the wall's white, and again the only people that see this side are the neighbours, so you know, that's fine. It looks better than it did before. They've got to be happy with that. Looked horrible before, didn't it? It looks a bit better now, so that should keep them happy. And it'll make that wall last. We'll get another 5-10 years out of that wall now, instead of another 12 months, which were what we were going to get if we hadn't dealt with it. So makes it a nicer area out there, doesn't it? More pleasant in the afternoon. It's time to move on to the next project now. Hope you got some value out of that. More videos coming soon.